Echo is a stealth game where you travel through a seemingly abandoned facility known as the Palace. You play as the mysterious N. She's a biologically altered human created by a person known only as the Grandfather. While attempting to create a religious cult and enter the palace, the Grandfather puts N and many others like her through a brutal training. N escapes this and enters a life of gambling and manipulation. Eventually, the Grandfather tasks Foster and his AI London to retrieve N. However, something happens and Foster betrays the Grandfather, but he is almost killed in the struggle. This forces him to be translated into a cube, and so begins N's journey through the palace as she looks for a way to restore him. While exploring the complex, she encounters strange creatures that slowly take on her appearance. Called echoes, they not only look like N, but they learn from her as well. When the lights are on, then all of her actions are recorded and remembered. Whether that's running, leaping over a barrier, or opening a door, her clones gain all of those abilities. What this means is that she is the enemy, and by extension, you are the enemy. You might be trying to overcome the palace's AI, but in reality, you only ever have yourself to blame when you fail. When the AI system is rebooting and incorporating those newly learned skills, the lights go out, and you're free to do whatever you want. The problem is that you can't see what is happening as easily. It's dark, obviously. This leads to situations where in the light, you can see clone movement, but are unable to move freely, yet in the dark you can move freely but can't easily see clone movement. In this way, it echoes the game's narrative about finding out about N's character, her past, and the Grandfather's obsession with making people the best version of themselves. You are literally confronted with clones of yourself who take the things you have done and use them against you. Every action has a consequence, and Echo takes this idea and threads it through the entire game. If one of the other U's learns how to open a door, this can mean their entire movement path changes. This forces you to alter your route and plan for the level. In other stealth games, you can survey the AI's movements and then plan accordingly. You can't do this in Echo, because the paths are constantly changing to accommodate your clone's new moveset. This causes you to play a reactive role, as you're constantly on edge as you sneak past deadly versions of yourself. You understand that the reason a clone snuck up on you is because you were crouching during the last light cycle. The reason that door suddenly opened and now you're being chased is because you opened a door earlier. There's a constant tension that if you do anything, your clones will use it against you with a vengeance. This doesn't mean you can't use this to your advantage. If you eat some food, then your replicants will have a quick snack. This can distract them long enough for you to slip by undetected. You might also knowingly let them open doors or ride lifts to get them out of the way. Figuring out the best way to manipulate and avoid your clones is the puzzle of Echo, and it's one that's constantly evolving. You start to learn the clones and see them as strange parts of N. Aggressive, stupid, almost childlike parts, but parts nonetheless. This time, they might be that part that suddenly got scared and pulled a gun. Another time, there might be a part that crouched and hid to avoid being seen. Other times yet, they might be parts that effortlessly sweep through a level, eating lots of food along the way. Whatever parts they are, they reflect N. The clones embody the bits of N and ourselves that have doubts and regrets. When you get caught, your echoes attack you and seemingly try to bite your face off. If they were simply trying to kill you, then they would surely kick or punch you. Instead, your final moments are staring at a manic version of yourself that almost seems to scream, "Look what you've become!" Your actions become them, and then they, in turn, become you because of your action. The whole reason N is in this situation is because she has regrets about what happened with Foster, and she is seeking a better understanding for her purpose and reason for existing. You are seeing the direct consequences of everything that you've done. Whenever you see a clone, they are only doing what you've taught them. The game screams at you, "Remember when you did this?" every time a clone chases you down a corridor or starts shooting. The demons of N's past are catching up with her. We might never know the exact details of all the things that N's done, but it's made clear that she isn't proud of all the things she's done in her life. This might be through her training with the Grandfather, or during her life once she escaped. The clones mirror N's internal conflict over why she's in the palace in the first place. They are her behaviour made real, fears, desires, aggression, and all. Echo is a fascinating puzzle stealth horror game. It tells a story that involves a lot of reflection, both for the character and for ourselves. The concept of finding ourselves and making up for past regrets is shown masterfully throughout the game in terms of narrative and gameplay. N's physical journey mirrors her internal one. She is travelling through the palace to find herself and redemption. It's a human journey set against a fantastical sci-fi backdrop. We can all relate to N's struggles. We've all seen the effects of our actions, being unable to forget them and have them echoed in our thoughts. N's journey is a constant battle against herself. And at the end of the day, don't we all endure that same battle? Perhaps not quite in the physical way N goes through, but there are always those times when you do something you know you shouldn't. We all have versions of ourselves we dislike, and people we don't want to become. We can shoot or kill our echoes, but they will simply come back in the same way they do after each dark cycle for N. However, life throws you into situations where you either need to confront and overcome them, or be devoured, much like N.